TCP fans. Doing a specialty report on my tournament army. There were some requests in the, and a lot of people were kind of like, hey, what do you play? What do you do? So I wanted to give you kind of a lowdown on that real quick. Well, I talk a lot, so maybe not real quick. So here's the army, 2,000 points, and I play Vulcan Histan Space Marines. Everything is obviously it counts as. The theme is a pre-heresy Emperor's Children. So I've got the shoulder pads that GW put out with the Emperor's Children symbol on there, and I've taken and done a lot of conversion work on these guys so that they don't stand out as post-heresy at all. I tried to make the pick an armor that had the Aquilias on them, because that was one of the cool things about the pre-heresy Emperor's Children, is they were the ones that were allowed to wear the Emperor's Aquilia on their armor. Any skulls, the Emperor's Children were kind of pretty boys a little bit. They wore the pink, the purple and stuff, with the gold, and they didn't have a whole lot of skull iconography on their armor very much. So I took and and have done away with a lot of the skulls and replaced it with the idea with jewels and stuff. So here's some other examples. I got my Stern Guard Sergeant here. So I did the Warlock purple here with a pink highlight, and a lot of dry brushing and stuff, and then green for the highlights and stuff and whatnot. Kind of ironically enough, I work at Blue Table Painting, but my army's not fully done. But that's because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. Like I would say that this guy right here is pretty close to 100% done. And he's all conversion work. I found a website on the internet that taught me how to do the shoulder pads. Took orc top knots for the top of the armor there. I created my own Thunderhammer and Storm Shield and got them cast. The arms are magnetized so that I can undo them, and if I wanted to change out the weapon complement, obviously for in my opinion with Space Marine Codex, the most what's the word I want to use? Competitive. That's it. Sorry. The most competitive loadout is definitely the Thunderhammer Storm Shield. Even though I know people are saying, "Oh, it wasn't pre-heresy. It wasn't pre-heresy." Well, I did what I love the pre-heresy fluff. I love the whole idea, but I kind of go with the idea that maybe this is an army that didn't or group that didn't go bad, and kind of this is a natural extrapolation of what they would end up being like in the future, in the 40th millennia. So anyway, that's kind of the theme, the look of the army. Talking about what the army does, Vulcan Histan. This is my Vulcan. I use a Emperor's Champion model that I've converted and done some stuff with. He lost his shoulder pad piece, so he's a little bit beaten up right now. But so what he does for the army is he takes away the combat tactics rule, but gives the army twin-linked Meltas, Flamers, and master-crafted Thunderhammers. And he's pretty much a close combat butt kicker. I mean, the only thing that I could possibly think of that would make him better is if he... I mean, obviously you can increase his stats, but if you gave him Eternal Warrior. The guy is just pretty much amazing. So a 203 up armor save, strength 6 weapons mastercrafted, digital weapons, a built-in heavy flamer. He's just phenomenal. Great character. So that he's the leader. Then I have, of course, the 7 Thunderhammernators. I have a Land Raider Crusader, and they all ride in the Land Raider Crusader together with Vulcan. So that's kind of the big close combat meat chunk of and a ton of points too. He's 190, 280 for the Terminators, 275 for the Land Raider with multi-melta and an extra armor upgrade. So that's a lot of points, but it's also kind of a, hey, I'm the big sledgehammer. If I get into your face, I'm gonna do some damage. Look at me, look at me, attack me, deal with me. So it gets rid of a lot of firepower. A lot of people will ping shots off of it. A Land Raider, it's resilient. It does stick around. So that's obviously the purpose of the Land Raider. Also, kind of going along with that same idea of the, hey, look at me, I'm really big and dangerous, is my Vindicator. Vindicator is strength 10 pie plate, or 5-inch template, I should say. It's really nasty. It has a tendency to take a lot of shots because people are like, hey, I got to get rid of that because it's really dangerous. So I can use that as kind of a distraction, hey, look at this and shoot it, instead of shooting the other things that are going to do my real damage for me. But at the same time, if I need it for a situation where like Thunderwolf Cav or Paladins or something, nasty units like that I want to be able to pie plate and get rid of a bunch of, that's, I still have it around as an option. My troop choices are 2 10-man tactical squads. I run them Melta and missile launcher. Currently, somebody might be counting the miniatures. I'm missing one of my missile launcher guys. I don't know where he is right now, but anyhow, I think that's a really good way to run it. It comes out to be 175 points. I'm sorry, and then I had a power fist for the sergeant, so 200 points basic. Just that's it right there. And then I run 2 Razorbacks with twin link las cannon for 75 points apiece. And I always combat squad. It doesn't matter if it's a more kill point mission or not. I want to have that flexibility. It's one of the really big advantages of Space Marines is, we're more expensive, and we can't put as many miniatures on the table, but with combat squads, we can still have the flexibility of the multiple units and that you can bring with other armies, but keep our, the fact that we're resilient. We've got 3-up armor save. We're, and they shall know no fear. That kind of stuff that really keeps Space Marines around. So, I always combat squad. 4 guys in the missile launcher. They kind of sit in the terrain. They usually sit in the terrain protecting Thunderfire cannons, which I'll talk about in a second. And they also can hold an objective in my deployment zone because they're troops. Then I run the the Melta and Power Fist groups, and they hang out in the Razorbacks and roll forward. Usually at the beginning of the game, probably 6 inches because I want to use those las cannons. But if the game progresses to the point where I need to get to an objective, I'll go ahead and go 12 with them. Pop smoke, whatever I need to do. It's all situational, of course. But that's the truth of any army. You want to build an army that's really balanced to deal with a lot of different things. This army took me probably a couple years tinkering around to find the mix match that I really enjoy and I wanted to have and can win tournaments for me. Moving on, I have 2 Thunderfire cannons. They're kind of the latest addition to the army. I don't really like the GW Thunderfire cannon, so I went ahead and scratch built my own. This is something that I did here at Blue Table Painting on my own time and paid for bits and stuff. So this is something that we could probably reproduce here at the studio. I had a really good time doing it, and I definitely suggest it. I think they look a lot better than the actual miniature. Same thing here with the Tech Marine. I didn't like the Tech Marines. I think the Tech Marine miniature is just fine. I just didn't like it very much. So what I did is I took an old school Grey Knight, and I took off his iconography, pulled his arms off, and pre-heresy Emperor's children him up, is what I want to say. And then they had some extra like servitor bits and stuff, and then I converted this from like IG and stuff to make these into guys that look like they're in artificer armor, and they're Tech Marines. So, and they're pretty looking, and that's important for Emperor's children. Emperor's children need to look pretty. Obviously, the paint job isn't done, but work in progress. So Thunderfire cannons are pretty much the ultimate in anti-infantry that the Space Marine Codex has, in my opinion. There's other stuff that can do comparable damage, but not at the range and survivability that the Thunderfire cannon can. I mean, you get these guys, Tech Marines, with they bolster the fences and they're hanging out in a piece of terrain, and they are just tough to get rid of. They have 60-inch range, which, I mean, that's the longest range thing in the Space Marine Codex except for a conversion beamer, which means you would have to fill up an HQ slot with a Master of the Forge, and he's pretty vulnerable otherwise, and only really effective at long range. Whereas a Thunderfire cannon can shoot right next to each other, right next to itself with the same effectiveness. Heavy 4 blast with 3 different profiles to choose from, lots of versatility, just really good choice, all for 100 points. Phenomenal, love them. Two of these guys, 2 land speeders with the Typhoon missile launcher and the multi-melta. So multi-melta becomes twin linked because of Vulcan, so that's just a nice, happy, additive thing. But you also have some nasty long range firepower with 2 missiles and stuff. Kind of fragile, so they can go down quick, and a smart opponent will try and pick these out first from my stuff to get rid of. But hopefully they're more worried about my sledgehammers as with the Land Raider and the Vindicator, so they're like, oh hey, I gotta really deal with those before I deal with the land speeder. It's even nicer too if your opponent doesn't know, if your opponent doesn't really know what's going on with Thunderfire cannons, which tends to be a truthful thing because not very many people play Thunderfire cannons in the competitive scene. They don't realize how powerful the Thunderfire cannons are, and so they ignore them until it's too late. And they're more inclined to go for, oh, I got to deal with the sledgehammers, and if they're smart enough, hey, I got to ignore the sledgehammers a little bit and deal with this other stuff, they could go after the land speeders before they go after the Thunderfires. So that's kind of a nice little added bonus there. Finally, I have a Suicide Squad, my Stern Guard, drop pod. With drop pod assault, they drop first turn. They have 2 melta guns and then twin linked combi meltas. Because of Vulcan, he just twin links everything. So this is really nasty. This will go and find the enemy sledgehammer and just be like, hey, you're just gonna stay there. Like if I was to play comparable list, I would drop on their Land Raider and just try and blow it out of the water so that all this close combat nastiness has to walk through my successive rounds of firepower where I'm just trying to get the Terminators to roll 1s. So yeah, that's the army. Strategy wise, I usually the first thing the Land Raider does is just rolls right up the middle. Usually, my turn 1, I pop smoke, roll 12 inches and pop smoke, and then if I survive that round of fire, then I go another 12 inches and I'm really kind of close to where the enemy is. Sometimes you're playing against a Tau player maybe or an IG player, and they're your table quarters and they're really far in the corner. So you got another turn you had to go, but a lot of times 2 turns of 12-inch movement will put that Land Raider right where you need it. So even if it blows up, then the guys can just hop out and start trucking it towards and usually make it there. Turn 3, turn 4 into close combat. So and these guys are some of the best close combat you can have in the game. Just in terms of survivability plus hitting power with strength 8 power weapons, and Vulcan's a great close combat guy himself. So they do some damage, and they definitely scare people. The tactical squads, they're not awfully great in close combat, but they're not terrible. I think that with the way that the army is built and the balance the army has, I don't think that even if I could take assault marines as troops, I don't think I would. Because assault marines would give me a better close combat punch, but I would lose out on the missile launcher, the long range firepower, which kind of gives me that extra little shot there. I have if you look at the list, I have a possibility if you go by blasts, 4 from each of from each of these guys, 2 from each of the Typhoons, and 1 each of those guys. So I've got 1, and then the Vindicator. So I have 11 blast markers that I could possibly fire a turn. It's a lot of anti-infantry, but also I can fire a lot of that as anti-tank. So the 2 strength 8 missile launchers, 2 strength 8 shots from each of these guys. These guys can go up to strength 6, which is that's okay. It will glance to an armor 12 vehicle, and sometimes I have to do that because I don't have a better shot. But and then 2 twin link las cannons on the Razorback. Plus, as far as anti-infantry goes, I have a Crusader. So once it gets within that beautiful 12-inch range, I'm pumping out a lot of twin-linked shots that you're going to do some damage, and especially if they'll do a ton of damage against lightly armed enemies like Tyranids or Orcs or something like that, or Dark Eldar that are in the open. So yeah, that's the list that I bring. I'm really happy with it. I don't, you know, I like it a lot, and I don't think even with like, well, and we'll see what happens with 6th edition, but I don't think like I would change it even with the new vehicle that just came out in the White Dwarf, the Storm Talon. I wouldn't put a Storm Talon in this army. They're 130 points base. These things are 100. So if I had more points, I would just bring more of these guys. Currently, let's see, I have 2 troop slots. I've got two troops, 3 heavies, 2 fast, 2 elites, 1 HQ. So I could fit another fast in. I could fit another elite in. So I mean, there's places where this army could grow and keep the same theme. Though I would argue that if I play this at like a 2,500 point, like for instance, if I were to play this army at our Utah Crux Terminatus, which is at 2,500 points, I don't know how, like, I don't feel like it translates as well. Other armies get better stuff than this army does. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to say that this army doesn't get a lot of good stuff. I'm just saying that as you go higher in points, the potency of this army doesn't increase as much as the other armies do. 500 more points, yeah, I could bring another troops choice for 275, another Typhoon for 100, 275, or I could bring 5 more Terminators, something like that. I mean, there's things that you could do, but I just don't feel like it has the same feel or the same amount of extra hitting power that other lists get with that extra 500 points. So I think this is a very good army at 1,850 or 2,000 points. So anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry, I know I'm a little bit long-winded. I hope you enjoy.